people who got vaccinated for COVID. What are the symptoms you faced and which vaccine you got? I got Moderna. First shot had a sore arm for a few hours. Second shot had a sore arm for a few hours and thought I was good to go. Then I got hit with a semi of lethargy, body aches, chills, but no fever. Stuck around for the next day after the shot. After a long sleep, I woke up feeling like $1,000,000. Pfizer, nothing but a sore arm after first shot. After second I started feeling body aches and fever come on that night. 8 hours after getting it, and spent the night shivering in bed barely sleeping, and had a migraine for about 24 hours. The next day I was tired from not sleeping well and the aches, fever were mostly gone that night, and the migraine was completely gone. Woke up the next day feeling 100% normal. I got the Pfizer vaccine, and had no side effects. I was actually concerned because everybody I know who got the vaccine felt horrible after getting it. I had to Google it and discovered that it is not common but it happens. Moderna, sore arm after the first shot. About 10 hours after my second shot, I ran a fever and had muscle aches for about a day. The next day I woke up feeling great and I've been fine ever since. Edit. Also I'm a woman, despite what my username might indicate, and I'm 51. I know the vaccine seems to be affecting men and women differently. I got the Pfizer vaccine. I live in Israel so did not really have a choice of which vaccine to get. The day of the vaccine I felt nothing at all. The next day I woke up drowsy and tired, and was pretty useless the whole day. Pretty much just sat around the house and chilled. The day after I woke up as if nothing had happened and haven't had any other symptoms since. I know many people who also received the same vaccine, and most had similar symptoms and not anything worse. Pfizer, first shot, mildly sore arm and mild nausea for 24 hours. Second shot, upset stomach and moderate nausea for 24 hours, very sore arm for 3 days, like aching badly even when not moving or touching it, swollen lymph nodes in armpit and neck for over a week. Best side effect of all, greatly reduced anxiety about getting myself or others sick as I start going out and about in the world again. Also became my own wireless hotspot and developed a bizarre affinity for Microsoft products as soon as the clock hit midnight on my immunity day. I've only had first dose so far, AstraZeneca, starting the day after the injection. The arm I had it in ached for about 24 hours. Nothing other than that. Unless you count constantly hearing Bill Gates' voice in my head screaming at me, and the fact that every time I get an erection my penis works as a 5G transmitter. Pfizer. First dose I felt foggy and like I was coming down with a cold for 24 hours but then magically it instantly disappeared after the 24-hour mark and I was good to do. Second dose, oh boy, felt foggy and had gastritis for about 3 days. I am convinced I had COVID-19 in February 2020 because I had gastritis for 3 weeks then and before they announced in April some people only experience gastro symptoms and no breathing problems or fever. Pfizer, second shot yesterday morning. Felt fine for most of the day. Took a few naps because I have a shit sleep schedule. Then sometime between 9–10 p.m., I started getting body aches, a fever followed, and I was dizzy and winded walking around. Every time I got up, I felt sick. I wasn't able to sleep last night for more than maybe 30 minutes at a time every few hours because of how bad I ached. I'm exhausted and finally made the decision to call out of my 8-hour shift. I feel so guilty, but dude, I'd die. On a semi-related note, I have a wrist brace for another week I have to wear due to assist carpal tunnel. The doctor gave me medication that's literally 4 tablets of ibuprofen jammed into one. I was too scared to take it because of how nauseous I felt and how hard it is on my stomach. But I was tired and itchy, so I sucked it up, ate something, and took my pill. I feel so much better now. I'm kinda pissed I didn't just take my medication earlier. Those tablets weren't meant for the Pfizer, but God did it help so much. I'm probably going to try to sleep soon now that I have work off. Hopefully I'll be all better by the time I wake up. I just got my second Moderna shot on Friday and I got all the side effects. First day was a 12-hour migraine. Second day was fever and chills. I'm on day 3 now and feeling fine, except my shoulder is still a little sore. I'm also starving because of 2 days of nausea and fatigue. I need to find food now. I had my first Moderna 2 weeks ago and had nothing but a sore arm for a few days. I'm so excited to get my second injection and 2 more. But I'm really scared of the potential nausea as I have a bit of a vomit phobia. Any tips for preventing or dealing with vaccine-induced nausea? I had Moderna shots. First one I had cold hands and felt tired and my arm was sore. Second one my arm was sore, I had a fever and I had to take NyQuil. I also was very dehydrated, so drink a lot of water. Gatorade. Moderna. Slept 12 hours after the second shot. I'm not going to say I passed out, because you could still wake me up. I was pissed off when you did that. So it was a 12-hour nap all day. Like 10 to 10. So plan your appointment time for that nap. Cancelled a lot of clients that day. I got Moderna. For the first shot my arm was a little sore the next day, no more than the flu shot. For the second dose, about 15 hours after I got it I started feeling chills and fever, with pretty bad shivering. For the rest of the day I felt feverish, tired, and achy all over, but the next morning, 48 hours after the shot, I woke up feeling totally fine. I want to emphasize that even though that one day was rough, it was absolutely worth it, and I highly encourage to get whatever vaccine they can. Pfizer, first shot, mildly sore arm and mild nausea for 24 hours. Second shot, upset stomach and moderate nausea for 24 hours, very sore arm for 3 days, like aching badly even when not moving or touching it, swollen lymph nodes in armpit and neck for over a week. Best side effect of all, greatly reduced anxiety about getting myself or others sick as I start going out and about in the world again. Also became my own wireless hotspot and developed a bizarre affinity for Microsoft products as soon as the clock hit midnight on my immunity day. I've only had first dose so far, AstraZeneca, starting the day after the injection. The arm I had it in ached for about 24 hours. Nothing other than that. Unless you count constantly hearing Bill Gates' voice in my head screaming at me, and the fact that every time I get an erection my penis works as a 5G transmitter. Pfizer. First dose I felt foggy and like I was coming down with a cold for 24 hours, but then magically it instantly disappeared after the 24-hour mark and I was good to do. Second dose, oh boy, felt foggy and had gastritis for about 3 days. I am convinced I had COVID-19 in February 2020 because I had gastritis for 3 weeks then and before they announced in April some people only experience gastro symptoms and no breathing problems or fever. Pfizer, second shot yesterday morning, felt fine for most of the day. Took a few naps because I have a shit sleep schedule. Then sometime between 9–10 p.m., I started getting body aches, a fever followed, and I was dizzy and winded walking around. Every time I got up, I felt sick. I wasn't able to sleep last night for more than maybe 30 minutes at a time every few hours because of how bad I ached. I'm exhausted and finally made the decision to call out of my 8-hour shift. I feel so guilty, but dude, I'd die. On a semi-related note, I have a wrist brace for another week I have to wear due to assist carpal tunnel. The doctor gave me medication that's literally 4 tablets of ibuprofen jammed into one. I was too scared to take it because of how nauseous I felt and how hard it is on my stomach. But I was tired and itchy, so I sucked it up, ate something, and took my pill. I feel so much better now. I'm kinda pissed I didn't just take my medication earlier. Those tablets weren't meant for the Pfizer. But God, did it help so much. I'm probably going to try to nap, sleep soon now that I have work off. Hopefully I'll be all better by the time I wake up. 68-year-old woman, second Moderna shot knocked me on my ass for 2 days. My sister and her husband, 70 and 80 years old respectively, had the same response. It's like we had all of the COVID symptoms, except death, in a compressed period of 48 hours. If it is recommended to get a booster shot, I would still get it, even if it meant I would spend another 48 hours of hell. Better that than ending up on a ventilator. Got the J&J, although the nurse gave me a mini lecture that the proper name is the Janssen vaccine, so there you go. I honestly cannot ascribe any symptoms to the vax itself because I didn't feel any more worn out than I usually do every weekend after a week of dealing with my job. Also, my arm wasn't even that sore, so, yep. I got the AstraZeneca vaccine first dose and I had a dull headache and slightly sore arm the next morning until the evening time, and then the symptoms vanished. My mom got the Pfizer vaccine. First dose was minimal symptoms and after the second dose she had a fever and a headache for about a day and a half. My dad also got the Pfizer vaccine. First dose he had a headache for about 6 hours and after the second dose he just had a sore arm for about a day. I got the Pfizer. After the first shot I was sitting for my 15 minutes of observation for only a minute or two when I started to get dizzy. My vision was full of black spots, and I felt like I was going to throw up, so I sat on the floor for the last 10 or so minutes, and all of that went away and haven't come back. A doctor was asked later if he had any idea what had happened, and he said it is a fairly common reaction to being injected with fluids. The day after my first shot my arm hurt. It was a pain like a sore muscle after working out. The second shot went better. No weird reaction this time, just my arm hurt for several days after. And in my opinion it hurt worse for the second one. I was one of the lucky % who didn't have any cold or flu symptoms. I got the Moderna. After the first shot, my arm hurt, not unlike the flu shot, for around 36 hours and a little fatigue. After the second shot, my arm hurt within the hour. Then the fatigue came within 5 hours. It felt like I had the flu for the next 2 days. Fever, chills, night sweats, body aches, headache, no appetite and complete exhaustion. I got the shot on a Monday morning. I was in bed by 2 in the afternoon and stayed in bed until late Wednesday morning. I would say my fever broke around 4 a.m. that Wednesday, so about 48 hours of feeling sick. I was still tired through the day on Wednesday, but Thursday morning I felt completely fine. I got my first Pfizer shot about 2 weeks ago. I'm not one to get nervous around needles, but I've always felt them go in. I didn't feel the shot literally at all. The needle was so tiny. As for following side effects, the next day my arm around the shot was very mildly sore, like so mild that I wasn't sure if I was actually feeling any soreness or if it was all just because I knew that's where I got my shot. I'm extremely excited to get my second shot. The side effects could be 100x worse than the first shots and I'd still be happy that I got it. J&J were partnered with the local hospital to get everyone that wanted to be vaccinated a shot. We had 250 out of 320 people in the plant sign up, and everyone got the shot that day. I and about 80 plus others that I know of all got massive headaches along with general stiffness and crappiness for about 24 hours. I didn't start to feel like shit until I got off work at 11 p.m., got home in the dark, turned on a light and boom, sudden headache, room spinning and all. Called in Friday along with a bunch of others. Felt fine by Saturday. The nurses administering the shot thought our job was nuts for having us go to work after getting the shot. I got the one from Sinovac, sore arm where I got the shot, but it wasn't so bad, it only hurt when I moved it. I also got really sleepy a few hours after, but I feel sleepy all the time anyway, so it was nothing new. I heard that sleepiness, lethargy and sore arms are very common side effects from the vaccine though. Moderna. The worst side effect is the relationship with my family and that my mom thinks I'll be sterile now, which would be great tbh. Nothing like anti-vax and generally anti-science family to really put a damper on something that should have been exciting. Otherwise I felt pretty shitty for the first 24-36 hours after both doses with fever, chills and a bad headache. The second one was worse because I also ate something that didn't agree with me, so had stomach pain to go along with it, but I'd still do it again to be vaccinated. I've been experiencing COVID post-symptoms, long COVID, for 13 months now, which include constant brain fog, daily chest tightness, daily short of breath, daily lightheadedness, daily muscle pain, tightness, etc. etc. The only additional symptom I got from the vaccine shots are a slight sore arm, and, actually, the vaccine actually overall made me feel better from my long COVID symptoms, so yes, I recommended carrot. Pfizer, arm hurt for less than 24 hours after the first one, no side effects whatsoever after the second shot, arm wasn't even sore. Wife turned the heat up the day after her second one. She said she wasn't sure if she was chilled because of a side effect or if it was just because it was cold. So I got J&J and I can say I'm happy I'm done at least. I felt fine right after I got it. I drove an hour home and got groceries. Until that night the only issue I had was my arm was a bit sore. That night though was rough. I had a fever, full body chills, and a headache. I mainly tried sleeping it off, but if it was just that I was stressed over school stuff or an actual side effect. But I remember waking up every hour or so being very confused and stressed about dream stuff. Specifically something about pine, the number 4, and the shapes will make sense later. I also kept waking up and thinking, hey, we need to get everyone their vaccines, even though I already did my part and couldn't do anything else. The next day I felt better, but I did wake up from a nap scared and confused, like questioning every single thought and thought process in my head confused. That was scary. But I fell asleep again and woke up fine. My arm took about a week to stop feeling any bit of sore, and I mean it's been like 2 weeks and no blood clots, so smile. I feel dire. This is not unexpected. I am immunocompromised and have reacted badly to vaccines my whole life, to the point that doctors in 3 countries advised my parents not to have me vaccinated against the usual childhood diseases because I got so sick from the vaccines. Over my adult life, I've consulted with my GP every time a vaccine is needed, and we decide together whether it's really necessary, based on the severity of the disease, my chances of contracting it, and whether post-exposure treatment is available. In the last few years we've decided yes on flu, typhoid, tetanus, DPT and hepatitis B, and no on rabies, Japanese encephalitis, tick-borne encephalitis, BCG, and polio. Edit, my mistake. After looking at my medical record, I did have the polio vaccine in 2017, also known on hepatitis A, chickenpox and MMR. Since I had all those diseases except rubella, each decision is made individually. The COVID vaccine was a no-brainer. I had COVID 14 to 15 months ago, right when it started. And over the last year and a half I've gone from comfortably walking 13.3 miles to needing a day or two in bed recovering after walking the 1.9 miles to the grocery store and back. I knew there was a good chance it would make me feel like hell, so in the run-up to my vaccine, I deliberately organized my life so that I can basically stay in bed for 10 days if necessary. It has more or less been necessary for the last 3 days, though I ventured out today to buy a Nintendo Switch with some money I got for my birthday. I will probably not go out again for the next week. I am exhausted to the point of barely being able to get up the stairs. My muscles are all screaming in agony and painkillers don't help. I'm both nauseated and starving, and my fever is at 103 and I can't stop sweating. It will pass, and it's better than COVID. The vast majority of people are reporting very mild side effects. My mom had a sore arm and felt coldish for a week. Even if you're a precious snowflake like me, your reaction to the vaccine will almost certainly be milder than your reaction to the virus. Get the vaccine, unless your doctor says absolutely not.